Welcome. We are here to play Devil, Aim for Me by Michael Van Vleet, a trophy dark incursion in the Weird West, Weird Haunted West. So I'm Madelancholy, Mads for short, she, they pronouns. I have a lot of experience running and playing trophy, both flavors, dark and gold, and this will be the first time that I'm running Devil Aim for Me, just to try to go through all of the core incursions as well as some of the third party material. So I really enjoy this game system, and I just like to share it with anybody that's willing to play. So let me popcorn this over to Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob. He, him. I have played Sophie many times. I've tried to run it twice, and one of those times was trying to run this incursion. And we only did one session, and Paul and Mads were both in it. Um, yeah, it was a bit of I don't know. I felt like it was a bit of a full start. I was um, not doing the best job of running it, but I've learned a lot since then, and I've played Trophy a ton, so it'll
You
be
did
fun.
fine.
Yeah.
I got sick. It's fine. Alrighty. Let me
Oh,
pop.
popcorn to Cassidy.
Hi, I'm Cassidy, she, her. I've played Butter Princess and a tiny bit of Trophy Gold, one of the little short ones that Jason did a while ago. And that was a lot of fun. We kind of lucked out and got like a lot of treasures. So my expectations are definitely skewed not to the normal trophy experience. And I'm really excited for this. Yeah, just excited. And I'll popcorn over to Jack.
Me? Yes, Jack. Any pronoun is fine. I've played a little bit of trophy here and there. Not too much. No one's gonna call me out. Fine. No. I have played in a lot of trophy. I'm in Scoundrels Quarter with Rob and the Trophy Gold game with some Trophy Dark stuff going on. I've been doing that for a few months. Kind of wild. Um, but this is the first time I've played Devil Aim for Me, which is one that I've had my eye on for a while, but haven't had sort of the opportunity to run or play it. So I'm excited to get into it. And I'll throw a popcorn over to Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul. My pronouns he, him. I've done some Trophy Dark, only one long-term campaign, and then a few one-shots, some with the Old West, some with outer space in a more sci-fi realm, so kind of a mix on that. And but this is, it's my second time with this particular version. And back to Madeline.
Alrighty. So, just going to go through a round of cats, concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, just to set expectations on the table so we know what we're aiming for when we come to playing this game. All right, so Devil Aim for Me, again, is an incursion written for Trophy Dark, and Trophy Dark is a, excuse me, collaborative storytelling game about a group of treasure hunters on a doomed expedition into a place that doesn't want them there. So the game tells a story of these seekers' physical and mental descent as they move deeper and deeper into the incursion. Their journey ultimately brings them to ancient ruins that hold the treasure they seek. In this case, it's like to a dusty western town that holds some bounty for them. And they will be encountering some monstrous type entities that dwell there. This is not a hopeful story of brave and daring adventurers that slay dragons and drag bags of coal back to town. This is a horror story of entitled pillagers meeting tragic ends. So, your aim is to play treasure hunters motivated by a near impossible goal to seek out riches in the forgotten places of the world. You are not heroes, but entitled or desperate pillagers there to secure your wants and needs. These treasure hunters are doomed, and they probably won't achieve their goal. Instead, they are very likely to die by the end of the game, and watching how they go out is part of the fun. The tone of Trophy Dark is desperate and often tragic. You will likely encounter conflict or tension between treasure hunters, where characters are encouraged to backstab or betray their companions in pursuit of their goal. The the game will be R-rated, as part of the subject matter. As your treasure hunters are risk takers willing to make dangerous choices, the game will most likely be violent, terrifying, and include scenes of bodily horror and loss of self-control. Gameplay is highly collaborative and improvisational. Players have a lot of say over the world itself and can introduce elements that no one, not even the GM, were expecting, and play moves between the fiction and the metagame frequently. The game runs best when everyone feels comfortable offering up their own ideas. It uses 6-sided dice of 2 colors, light and dark, to determine the outcome of risky actions. And given the subject matter, with this particular incursion of violence and death and doom, basically we have a safety tab. We have safety tools that are available to the players, one of which is the X card. So if something comes up that's objectionable in an unfun way, or just need to seems triggering, we can have have the person either make an X in the video or say X card out loud or put X in the chat, and then in which case we will stop play, find out what needs to be taken out, X carded, and then we will continue from there. We will never ask why something got X carded, okay? We also have the open door policy. So for whatever reason, you have to step away for a few moments or out of a scene, or this is not the game for you, which is perfectly fine, then you can go ahead and open door, and then just let us know if you're planning on coming back after a few moments, or after the scene, or something happens IRL and then you have to just step away for a few moments, okay? Just let us know if you're coming back and when. You will not have to tell us why, all right? And then finally, we have lines and veils. We have a safety tab in our character keeper, which holds the lines, which are things we will not include in the game whatsoever. And then we have veils, which are things that could be mentioned, part of the backstory. These are things we will not role play out fully and usually fade to black on, okay? So the safety tab contains lines, veils, a column for ask first. So if it seems like we're approaching something that may be a little bit difficult, or something that we want to be careful of, then that we would just look at that topic under ask first and then just approach it with caution. And of course the interest column, which is always fun to look at. It's like what we are interested in seeing in the game itself. Stuff like casual murder or parasites. Sure, why not? All right, so with that, we're going to go over character creation, but we're going to pause the recording to do so. And when we return, we're going to go ahead and introduce our players' characters. Okay? So let me go ahead and pause the recording. Okay, so we're back, and we're going to introduce the characters in order of appearance in the character keeper. So, Jack, if you'll start us off.
Sure. I am going to be playing Delilah Blackburn, pronouns she, her. She is a drifter, that is her occupation, which gives her the skills in loneliness, whittling, and hiding. She has a background as a spiritual medium, which gives her the skill of communication. She has 2 rituals. One is Get Thee Behind Me. The other is Lead Touch. I'll talk more about those when they come up. And her drive is to prove to her now dead father that they raised a real rattlesnake.
Fun. Cassidy, please introduce us to your character.
I'm going to be playing Montana Steele. Pronouns are she and her. Her occupation is as a homesteader or farmer. She has skills in endurance, meteorology, and thrift from that. And her background is as a rail spike driver, and that gives her the skill of coordination. Her drive is to acquire a parcel of land for farming, a place that they can't take from you. And her ritual is the Gila Monster's Gift.
Okay. Rob, please introduce us to your character.
I will be playing Everett, England, pronouns he, him. Everett is a cowpuncher. Gives him skills in animal handling, navigation, and brawling. And his background is a disinherited wastrel, giving him a skill in indulgence. His drive is to taste a bit of heaven on earth, because the preacher says there's no guarantees. And he has 2 rituals: hear the train coming, which lets him sense the location of the nearest luxury, and the white hat, be perceived as the good guy despite everything.
Finally, Paul.
And this is Shjon Bancks, he, him. He is a prospector, which gives him the skills of appraisal, geology, and determination, with a background as a disgraced apothecarist, whose background or skill would be medicine. His drive is to find a town where no one knows him or what he's done and start over. Rituals are salt of the earth, which gets immediate trust with common folk, and die with your boots on, become immovable, or navigate treacherous terrain.
All right. Thank you all. So, usually with Trophy Dark incursions, they start with a poem. This one has a really cool introduction. The West is no more wild and untamed than any other part of the world, really. There's an order here. But to those trundling westward in covered wagons, on foot or on horseback, displacing natives in order to farm, homestead, or pan for gold, the West seems wild because they don't yet know the forces at play. Exploited men arrived first, searching for work. Women came next, exploiting different resources, and towns sprung up around their efforts. And then came the grifters, the disaffected, those who require a population large enough to disappear in, and a land where a bit of treasure can keep one beyond the grasp of gods and masters. For a while, anyway. Oh, the prairie's home to both beasts and men, and where I roam, it don't matter when. There's just one thing keeps me warm at night. It's my dreams of gold and of trophies bright. Now a cowboy dreams underneath big skies. On a prairie bed they can rest their eyes. But when cowboys pass and their story's told, what's a man's true worth measured out in gold? In recent weeks, belts have been tightened and meals skipped, with good paid work as rare as hen's teeth. You're a part of a motley crew, short on cash, and in town looking for opportunity. We enter Ring 1, the bounty, young toughs, and a path to follow. Please tell me what you look like coming up into town as you watch the sheriff hammering a dead or alive poster on the front of his office.
We see a woman. She looks to be maybe in her early 30s, and despite the sun, which hangs high in the air, her skin doesn't look too badly weathered by it. It's still got kind of a milky porcelain quality to it. She is of average height and build. Nothing too remarkable to say about those, but she's sort of less wearing and more draped in several sort of like robes or kimonos of different quality and make. They're all sort of aged, maybe weather torn or moth bitten. They're all kind of threadbare. She has dark hair, thick, and it kind of blows past her face, down her shoulders. She's carrying with her kind of a large leather sack that's slung around like a sort of a crossband satchel, crossbody satchel rather. She seems to be holding on to it fairly tightly. Most probably concerning, though, is that she's not wearing any shoes, and her feet show it. They would be red from blisters and blood shed on the road, but they've been so caked in dirt and dust that they've almost turned black. Almost as black as when she smiles. She's a fair-looking woman, not unattractive, but not super glamorous. But there's a kind of mystique about her and her sort of ruddy eyes. But when she smiles, though, and she does, when a few men pass her by, almost hooting and hollering at her, thinking that she's some new piece that's come to town. But when she does smile, they see that her teeth are blackened, her gums dark with disease. And they are immediately sort of taken off guard. They scuttle away in fear of her. And she kind of laughs to herself as she continues onward.
And go next. Everett, England, sits straight and tall in his saddle, but the finery is a little faded. The smart jacket that looks well tailored is pretty threadbare. But there's kind of a supercilious sneer to his expression that as he looks down his nose at folks on the dock boards outside the stores as he rides by. He looks a bit run down, but definitely carries himself as someone who thinks themselves of a higher station. And there's something about him that looks kind of dangerous.
And Shjon rides into town on a cart, carrying other people who've been working mines up in the foothills behind the town. They all ride in quietly, jump off the cart. He has a look on his face of just determination, but also but not for his work. He's a man on a mission, but you don't know what it's not related to the mining that he's been doing. And you can also tell, compared to the other miners, that he's not been doing this as long. His hands are not as rough, his face is not as rugged, although it's getting there. When he walks with a purpose, it's mostly he's an imitation of what he's seen of other people. The walk to show that you don't want to be messed with, but you're not going to mess with anyone else. So it's the walk of someone who's trying to avoid attention.
The last character we see is a woman. Comes out from, I think, the general store, having just gotten a few provisions. So she's carrying a sack with her. And when she sees the sheriff nailing the sign, she has like a look of like kind of hope, a little bit of optimism, but very quickly masked by the kind of tough facade that she's had to take being here in this town for as long as she has. She wears kind of typical attire, a Western style shirt, a hat. She doesn't wear like ladies' clothes, but pants and boots and a bandana around her neck.
The Dead or Alive poster is an etched likeness. It sneers at you, which says the outlaw Henry Bantam is worth a small fortune, dead or alive. Henry Bantam, bank robber, noose dodger. They say he was shot dead outside Elksville, and a lightning strike knocked him right back to his feet alive again. They say Bantam's boots melted and the bullets ran out the holes in his chest like prairie dogs fleeing a flooded burrow. It's 'cause Bantam went down to the crossroads, they say. Made a deal. Gave up something awful powerful in exchange for the fastest gun. For uncanny luck. For eyes in the back of his head. They say a lot of things. What have you heard about this Bantam? And this is where you would answer the questions in your set. As you look at the poster and look into those etched eyes, what do you remember? What do you remember the rumors?
Well, his eyes are sharp. They're shiny. They're yellow like coyote's eyes. I've heard that he could see a baby field mouse crawling across the desert on a moonless night, and he'd still be able to hit it with a bullet like it was nothing.
Delilah, in her travels, has heard of this man Bantam. She had taken sanctuary in a nearby town, church, chapel, and over the night, the father who was tending to it, who kept that house of God, told her a story about Bantam. Told him that he has a long, jagged scar down the middle of his chest. He got that scar, apparently, when the devil took his heart. And the vengeance that Bantam set loose upon the world sent the devil back reeling, back into hell. But ever since, Bantam has been merciless, cold, and cruel to anyone who crosses his path. It's so much so that it's scared the devil.
I think Everett said, Bantam carries a gun named Remorse, that if he shoots you with it before the bullet hits you, every bad thing you've ever done in your life flashes before your eyes. And he was told that by an outlaw in a bar who claimed to have had a run-in with Bantam and be the only man ever shot by him to survive. I thought that sounded like bullshit. But
They're able to trace Bantam's crimes because at every bank robbery or other theft he would do, he would carve his symbol, which is out of a heart with a cavalry saber piercing through it, to show that his heart has been replaced, that the devil now holds it, and that without a heart, you can expect no pity, no mercy. He has none. It's to show that he is almost dead inside. And then the mothers are able to draw the symbol usually with charcoal or with any sort of pencil to make the children think that this monster will come through, that he's looking at their house as his next target, and that the children had best stay inside and be quiet, lest he come through.
When you study the poster, you hear mutters, you hear sneers, you hear a little bit of jeering behind you. And if you take a little peek over your shoulder, you will see them pointing at the poster and at you and the guns you may be wearing. Some spit in your direction. This is a lawful town. Your type ain't welcome here. Sun better not set on you. Better not set on you here, still in town. One of the younger men, with more fire than sense, will actually send a lazy kick in your direction to try to set you on the road much faster. What do you do?
Everett turns towards them and just gives a smile and says, "Now look, you want this man gone or not? We're not the bad guys here. We're about to rid the world of Mr. Henry Bantam. What do you say to that?" I think I'm making a play to use my ritual, the white hat.
Okay. You want to follow along on the reference sheet? You totally can. Using a becoming myth in this case, as opposed to a ritual, is always risky because there will be things that will happen according to it. So, doing a risk roll inquires what will go wrong if, it doesn't work. So, the easiest thing would be like, no, they see behind you and they see through you, and they're going to pretty much try to send you on your way a lot faster than just a little lazy kick. So that's one thing. Let me go ahead and ask Montana, what else do you think would go wrong if Everett fails this?
Kind of building off that, just get a mob mentality and you might be next after Bantam.
Yeah. So, let's gather your dice. Take a light die if this is something you are skilled at because of your occupation or background. What do you got?
I'm kind of coming up a bit short there. I mean, I got brawling, but it hasn't come to that yet.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't.
Right. So let's just say that you don't have that first light die yet. You definitely take a dark die because this will be a risk to your body if they don't perceive you well. And you can get a light die if you accept a devil's bargain. And the way that works is no matter how he rolls, this particular action will happen no matter what. And I will ask the table to offer up a devil's bargain. And you would either pick one, some, or none, depending on, what you'd like to have enacted. So, a devil's bargain, no matter what.
No matter what, one of the people who you enchant becomes so enchanted that they are going to follow you around.
No matter what, because you have shown yourself to be the hero of this, people will start coming up to you with all of their problems. They'll want you to fix all of their issues, disputes, arguments.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a stretch, but no matter what, there's someone from your family that disinherited you, like if it was your dad or someone associated with your family that disinherited you, that's part of the crowd.
Before I give you my devil's bargain, I want to know, what is heaven on earth to Everett, England?
Well, I think Everett, England is a simple man. Number one on the list would be hot water, a good bottle of whiskey, maybe a cellar full, while we're talking. A pretty girl, maybe two. Somewhere to lay his head of an evening with a nice pillow and some silk sheets, a good view.
I think you're going to have, no matter what, you're going to have a pair of fangirls with you this evening who will draw you a bath, among other things.
Well, I was tempted to go with Jack's offer anyway. Mantis is quite similar, so
Again,
I will go for
some
something in. Yeah, I will go for something in that field.
one or
Yeah,
none. So
and leave it up to you, Mads, how you like interpret that.
let's
It
find
will.
out.
It was all good offers, but I
Right.
like the
Okay.
idea of an NPC that's going to linger around him, or
Okay, we'll find out. So, one light die and one dark die, please, for your risk roll. Oh,
that's a 4 with a 1 on the
already.
light dice.
If this is higher than your ruin goes up by 1.
My rune goes up by 1.
Oh, we're off to a great start. It's wonderful. Okay, so 4. You do succeed. Tell me what this looks like, and I will give you the complication.
Yeah, I think there's just that smile that Everett can use that kind of just tells people that he's comfortable and in charge here. This is a smile you learn when you grow up with privilege. The smile you use with the staff and that are waiting around your father's house. And it's like an easygoing, but like commanding in a way presence to him. And yeah, it's gotten him a punch a few times, but it works more often than not.
Saying the words and also making the gestures that just have them under your spell. And they're going to back down to at least let you, look at the poster in peace. But there's one little lady, maybe off to the side behind some of the more aggressive fellows, that just looks at you with this golden look of awe and just, oh, that speech be so moving. I don't know. I declare. Could I, when you conclude your business here at the sheriff's office, could I entertain you for an evening?
And I think Everett looks her up and down in a pretty gross way. And then tips his hat and says, "That'd be delightful.
Meet me after
What's your name?"
Oh, my name is Marie.
"It's a pleasure to meet you, Marie. I'm Everett."
Nice to meet you. When you conclude your business with the sheriff, please come by. I'll be waiting right here. And if the rest of you are trying to head into the sheriff's office while Everett's convincing the crowd to leave y'all alone, there's a buffalo of a person that just fills the doorway coming out. All shoulders, all biceps. And that's like thumbing through a stack of cash. A bounty hunter in the considerable flesh. "Happy to oblige," they rumble over their shoulder to the sheriff. And in their grin, you see a glint of gold. "Yup," the sheriff says. This giant man's hat is made of a beautiful, dense fur, and his clothes are without patches or shine from wear. Even his horse, which one of the lankier fellas brings up from the back. Even his horse looks regal. The crowd backs up the moment he mounts it, giving him space and a quiet respect. In contrast, how you've all been treated. That could be you. That could be your future. When you go inside, the sheriff is sitting there, looking up, saying, "Oh, is this about that bounty?"
Might be.
Well, you get him? Get the bounty. It is as it says on the poster, which is a considerable dollar amount written on that poster, dead or alive. And it's backed up by the First National. They'll give you that cash. Living or dead, it don't matter. Good money, even cut into shares. Ah, but one thing though. The bounty is only for Bantam. His gang ain't worth nothing. So,
Is it alive or dead?
living or dead don't matter none. Just bring 'em in.
Well, it saves us the trouble to bring in back his gang then. That's just dead weight.
Emphasis on dead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to bring back all of them?
Nope. You want the cash? You bring in that body. Identifiable, of course.
Of course.
Of course. I can give you a map. Here's a map of the Southlands, up the mountain range, through the Horns, and at the base of this mountain, and he points to this map that he's drawn out. El Dorado Pit. It's an abandoned mining camp. We think that he's probably holed up around there. It's got a ton of dig sites. And maybe he's hiding out in any one of those places. So, you're gonna go. It's gonna be a few days away. But that's all we got.
That's all we need.
You'd be running into a town called Resurrection on the way. So, if you need to, well, stop off, you might find out a thing or two. And he pushes the map in your direction. And he says, with a smile, "Good luck."
Delilah smiles big back at him, showing off her rotten teeth.
He doesn't bat an eye. He just kind of like juts his chin at you and just keeps that smile on his face.
Who's that big fellow who was just in here for us?
Oh, oh, he's a regular here. He knows when to bring in, well, some other folks that have caused trouble. And he just comes in for the little cash. You saw what he was carrying? You can earn scores more than that just by getting Bantam. Make your own name, right?
And would you say he's on the hunt for the same thing we are?
Possibly, possibly. He didn't seem to pay no mind to the poster that I put up, but then again, he makes his way by getting to the easy stuff. Reckon whatever you were before, you're a bounty hunter now. And we close out of Ring 1. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll start with Ring 2. Okay? See you in 10. Ring 2. The hanging, the rain, and the deep earth. At the crossroads outside of town stands a great tree, the tallest thing on the open plain for miles. The tree's white bark stands in contrast to the charred, jagged patterns left by lightning strikes and tongues of fire. From what you had said earlier, it sounded like both Everett, England, and Shjon Banks had rode into town. Do you offer rides to Miss Blackburn and Miss Steele, or do each of you happen to have a conveyance?
I rode into town on the work cart,
Ah,
so not a personal transport.
okay.
I
Best
think
one in the world. I don't think I can fit 4 people on the horse.
Mm.
I'm fine to walk.
Okay. Well, this will be slow going, especially for, a few days out, but, so long as you're okay with that, with the speed of going, then yeah, you'll be taking this on the path of walking rather than fully out riding. Okay. But will you keep on your horse, Everett, or are you going to, I don't know, store it in town after you had your little fling with Miss Marie?
I think it makes sense to bring it.
Okay.
I will maybe allow that some of the others can take a turn riding.
Okay.
Or alternatively, we can just start gear on the horse and we'll all walk.
Okay. All right. I just want to clarify, who's going to be on a horse. So this way, it's as we go out into this outer area, how long it's going to take. So definitely have Everett on a horse. And then everybody else is walking for the most part. Okay.
We find someone with a cart, maybe we can negotiate something, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, for this tree that you see, spreading out a bit thin from a low branch, there's a woman's body that dangles a rope around her neck. Montana. Why wasn't she brought to a judge?
Because the town had already acted as the judge. There was no need.
Shjon, what stories have you heard about these crossroads and those who die out here? Do you cut her down?
The crossroads always been rumored to be a place where people go to sell their souls. Hanging a person out here indicates someone who is unclean or who may have possibly made a deal with the devil. So when the devil comes to collect, they can come back to the crossroads and not come into town to collect a soul. As far as cutting her down, is it going to do us? It's not going to make any difference to our journey. I don't know if we need to. Is this going to antagonize the locals if we do this? She may be here as a warning.
And Everett. Her milky, open eyes. What do they communicate to you when you make the mistake of looking right into them?
Because Everett makes eye contact with this hanged woman. It's just a moment where he's convinced that he saw her eyes track him as he rode past. There's still just a hint of life in her. And yeah, that just sets him to thinking of what really happens when at the end are you stuck in your body, but you can't move and you're dead, but you're just like staring out from the eyes of a corpse. Is that what it is?
Delilah, do you know why she was hung out here instead of in town itself?
She's heard, not about her specifically, but about her family. And the family line is claimed to be in league with darkness and with the devil. And there's always been a fear, because she's not the first of her line to be hung up. But if they're hung up in town, there's a fear that something bad might happen. It might attract something. And so if she and her kin are at least hung outside of town, whatever might come to claim her soul or her body even will at least stay outside of town.
I never did ask you, Everett, what kind of ruin you experienced, how you got closer to some kind of shadow, some kind of darkness, when you were trying to be that good guy for everyone back in town.
I think because Everett knows it's a put on, it's an act. He's not the good guy. But if you can convince people that he is, then that's a great way to get what you want. But there's a little part of him that wishes it was for real.
I think as you're staring at the woman, thinking that she's awake or alive, you get a little nudge inside your jacket, threadbare as it is. Do you take a look?
Yeah.
You find a lawman's badge pinned inside your clothing. You don't remember where it came from. Take the condition, law went walking. As for the rest of y'all, there are buzzards in the high branches of the blackened tree, but they haven't touched her. Like you, they watch her turn in the wind. At the base of a tree rests someone's family Bible, propped up. Is anyone going to take a look at it?
And if no one else wants to, I think Montana would.
As you take a look at it, do you look inside or you just kind of hold it?
I think first she'd kind of inspect the cover and then open it up to the front, because a lot of times they'll put like genealogies in these old family Bibles.
Are you surprised to find your own family name in the genealogy record, handwritten inside the Bible's cover?
Yeah, I think she drops it.
I think Everett gives Montana a look. Something wrong?
I don't know what's going on here. She gives a strange look at the woman and then back down at the Bible. I think it's best if we just move on from here.
Please make a ruin roll, Montana.
Definitely goes up.
Okay. What do you think of when you see that name, your family's name, in the genealogy of this Bible, at the foot of this tree, bare and white as it is?
I think scared to look further because I don't think Montana knows much about her family, especially not like grandparents, uncles, any of that, cousins. And so whatever Wyatt's here, are those people related to her? She doesn't want to know.
As Montana's looking at the Bible, I want to look through the corpse of the hanging woman to see if there's any items on her I can take.
Sure. So, I think. I think as you're doing this, the buzzards are going to be looking at you, or very intently. Let's put it that way. So, Go ahead and make a risk roll, please. But in this case, it's going to be a risk to your mind, I think. Yeah. So, what do we think will go wrong as Delilah makes her search of the body? Still hanging up, by the way, because nobody's cut her down. What do we think will go wrong?
Well, there's the risk that disturbing the body will cause it to come crashing down.
Something about what you're doing gets the attention of the buzzards, and they decide that they want to get in on it too. Possibly, injuring you in the process. Who knows? So, that's a possibility. Let's build some die rolls. All right, so take a light die if this is something that you're skilled at because of your occupation or your background.
I mean, I'm a spirit medium, but I don't know if that would affect handling of corpses.
Could. You know me, parlay me.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't think it would.
That's fine.
The only other idea that I have would be loneliness as the whole, as someone who has probably dug through graves before.
Sure.
You try whistling while you do it.
I could, yeah. Maybe that's,
fine.
what? Good idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna whistle while I work.
No problem. Alrighty. Yeah, so you take that light die, and the dark die again is dangerous because you're going to be risking your mind in this case as you're fiddling through her stuff. Now we get a second light die to increase your odds of success by accepting a devil's bargain. What do we think will happen? No matter what. As Delilah is looking.
I think no matter what, either the woman or the buzzards communicate with you. Maybe both. Maybe it's a chorus.
You get the smell of death on you from the body, and as a result, we have buzzard friends following us.
I was going to say the buzzards follow you. Yeah. You flavored it better than I was going to. So yeah, I don't have anything else that comes to mind right now.
You find something in her pockets or upon her person that mark her as connected to your father.
I'm torn.
Take some, take one, or none.
I'm going to say I find something connected to my father on her.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at that. Roll 2 light die, 1 dark on risk, please.
6 light.
Nice. All right. So you totally succeed. You find... Well, tell me what you find. Tell me what you find meaningful to you as knowing it is of your father or connected to him in some way.
So the corpse is still hanging.
Yes.
And sun's still high in the sky. The others are maybe waiting a little impatiently. wanting to move on. But Delilah is clearly intrigued by this corpse. And I think there's a moment where she starts to climb up the tree, and she sort of leans out over the branch, and she pulls out of her satchel like a little small, just a knife. I was gonna say like a hunting knife, but it's not that big. But it's sharp enough to cut through the rope. And so maybe as the others are like sort of lost in their own days or their own impatience, there's just a sort of sudden thud into the roots as the corpse just falls to the ground. And Delilah jumps from the height of the branch onto the roots, and she starts to rifle through. There's nothing really on her. The flies and the maggots that have gathered on her corpse are all just sort of swatted away. But then she sees something tucked into her undergarments. Clearly, this has been put here as to be maybe hidden from any thieves who, or any law enforcement who would have tried to strip her body of valuables before she died. But it's a small ring, small golden ring. It looks like a wedding band. But the reason she knows that it's connected to her father is that she starts looking at it, kind of appraising it in the sunlight. And she looks on the inside, and there's an inscription. And it reads, "To my greatest love." And then it has her father's initials in it.
But anyone can have those initials, Delilah. What really shows you that that is his? Not only the ring, but the woman.
Well, the woman doesn't look like her mother. Even though her mother's long gone, she still retains some memory of her visage. But as she's sort of scrutinizing the ring, as you say, these could be anyone's initials, though it has a pretty unique name. And so she sits in the roots looking at it, and then finally she's got to ask Daddy what this is all about. So she flips over the lid of her satchel and rifles through it, and she pulls out a skull that has a bullet hole in it. And she sort of rattles it, and you can hear something rattling inside. And she says, "Daddy, is this yours?" And there's no response from the skull. It's just a skull. There's not even a lower jaw. And there's a moment of pause, of silence. We hear the wind going. We hear her kind of tapping her foot on the roots impatiently. And then we just hear her say, "Why didn't you ever tell me? Who is this trollop? Answer me." And she sort of shakes the skull. But now there's just nothing except for the rattling inside of it. And with a huff, she stuffs it back in her satchel and stuffs the ring in there too, and stands up, dusting herself off. "What?" She looks at the others.
Well, the others have something a little bit more to worry about, I think, as the 6 buzzards form a perfect circle above you, Montana, circling in hot updrafts, gliding, waiting for you to fall. Take the condition a matter of time. And Shjon, even as Delilah sits, wind whipping up, there is a whispering wind here. It increases in volume. The sun is dimming. There's a leaping cloud of locusts, almost dense, cloud-like. They come at you suddenly from somewhere, everywhere. They patter against your face, and if you hide behind a hat or a handkerchief, it does nothing against the fear that a bug is going to wriggle its way into your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. Please take a ruin roll.
Definitely goes up.
Definitely goes up. Please tell me, in the midst of this little bug storm around you, how do you become more lost in some darkness?
I think she's kind of mesmerized by the fact that these locusts are just acting on pure instinct. They're tiny, yet when they gather together, they become a force of nature. They don't know right or wrong, they just know hunger. And she kind of wishes she had that lawlessness, I think.
Shjon, in the midst of this bug storm, a single albino locust rests briefly on your arm, its golden hind legs twitching as it rests for a moment before it continues on. Is it a sign? What do you think of as you fall more into ruin, and of what this locust means?
But even in the darkest of spots, light will shine. But in my case, no matter how far into the wilderness or into obscurity I try to fade, there's always the light coming back. That there's always a chance of being revealed, of showing that you don't belong, or that how in the midst of this massive dark cloud, it's easy to spot something that doesn't fit in.
What are you running from, Shjon? What did you do? Why do you need to start over?
Well, things took a turn. And when you upset the rich and the powerful, their reach goes far. And with the expansion of things like railroads, towns, telegraph, that reach just increases more and more.
Take the conditioned golden bite. As you walk along, maybe Everett riding, maybe giving turns to each of you, you are going to go along an arroyo that forms a natural road through the valley. It's in a series of high-walled, narrow gulches where horses are forced into single file. People maybe not so much. Perhaps you can pair up a little. But overhead, in the narrow stretch of sky visible between the gulch's peaks, thunderheads roll in and cover the sun. Temperature drops. Storm hits. Steep walls to the left and right stream with sheets of water. As rain blows sideways, the gulch's floor becomes a river, dangerously strong. Everett, I'm going to have you do a risk roll because we have to see if your horse loses its footing and spills you onto the mud before being lost.
Well, I do have the skill of animal handling.
Okay, alrighty, cool. So that's your first light die. I mean, again, what could go wrong? Horse gets lost in the flood or, like, dumps you and then manage to get away, but you no longer have a horse. So that's the first light die. Definitely dangerous to your body, so dark die. Second light die, devil's bargain. What do we think will happen no matter what?
No matter what, you'll still fall off, but you'll be able to get back up. But in the process of falling, you are going to you're going to lose something special to you, something that is a part of this sort of heaven on earth business that you keep talking about.
That no matter what you do, the horse is going to find a soft piece of earth to put their leg into and injure itself. And while you may be able to, the horse can still travel, it will no longer support your weight. And you can maybe put some cargo on it, but it's not going to be able to be ridden.
I think you're going to sustain an injury. Like that's no matter what, regardless of whether you keep your horse or not, you're going to sustain some sort of injury because of it.
Maybe no matter what, you develop a taste for the flash flood water. It becomes like the finest whiskey.
Intriguing.
Amazing. Some, one, or none?
I don't get multiple dice if I take more than one, right?
No, you only get the one light die, but I always enjoy to see how much people love to pile on the devil's bargains. So I allow it.
I like the idea of the horse getting hurt.
Horse getting
I
hurt.
like the idea of it, but yeah, I think
Okay.
it evens us out, right? Then I got to walk too. I can't lord it over everyone else anymore.
Exactly, but hold on, let me just double check something.
Did you say I needed a dark die for this?
Yeah, because it's risk to body.
Yep.
Yeah, so big
Makes
2 light,
sense.
1 dark. Yep, for sure. We're not going to count too hard because there's a veil on harm to
Yeah. Yeah, right.
domestic animals. Yep. Okay.
That's a 4 light.
You can add a dark die and reroll if you want to see if you can risk it for a biscuit and get a better result.
Let's try it.
2 light, 2 dark, please.
6 dark.
Holy crap! Amazing. Okay. Higher than your ruin. Your ruin goes up by 1. So as you succeed brilliantly in handling your horse, tell me also how you fall further into ruin.
I think it's the side of the other 3. They're not having a good time of it either, but because I was sitting proud on my horse, feeling like I was better than them. But now look at us. I'm the one struggling to try and get this damn horse through the river. They're already out the other side, not dry exactly, but yeah, I feel a little foolish.
And as we have seen before, you are at ruin 5. Total loss is at ruin 6, but you can always reduce at ruin 5 with a reduction roll. But to do a reduction roll, you will need to betray your companions in some way. So, when you decide to do the reduction roll, you will need to tell me how you sabotage, neglect to do something, or betray your companions. So, we'll see how this goes.
Stick on it.
Okay. Who, and somebody can speak up on this question, who desperately scrambles up a hill to drier land only to watch lightning skip across the plain, thunder exploding like cannon shot, a tangle of struck cacti briefly on fire despite the rain? Who sees all this? For those of you that are on foot.
I feel like Delilah's not a huge fan of water. So I think that she'd scurry up as fast as she could, especially given that she doesn't have shoes on.
I think I will also have you incur a risk roll in this case because you don't have good footing. The mud or the rain is pelting so hard and so fast that it's creating slurry with the mud, and so it is quite difficult to get up to drier ground. Okay, so what do we think will go wrong? You slide from the mud and the ground, and then like you actually go into the river, get swept down away from your companions. So that's definitely something that could go wrong. Shjon, do you have anything different that could possibly go wrong if Delilah fails this roll?
Instead of being swept away, it's almost the opposite, where the ground gets saturated. It turns almost into like a quicksand, and so Delilah sinks to her waist and has to be pulled out.
Okay. So, skill, anything to for your occupation or background that can help you in this?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely wrist to body, for sure. So dark die, and then like your light die can come from a devil's bargain. What do we think will happen to Delilah no matter what?
I'm going to turn your devil's bargain around on you, and I'll say, you're going to lose something that's important to you.
Maybe you don't only see lightning, but maybe you get struck by lightning no matter what.
Maybe in the flash of lightning, maybe you see a vision of, oh man, do I do this to you? No matter what. I mean, like, you know, in the flash of lightning, you get a vision of this desperate moment of of how you die. You don't have to take that one.
Did everyone get one, or?
Any other devil's bargains? No matter what.
Well, if there are none other, I'm going to choose to be struck by lightning.
Okay. All right. So, one light, one dark, please.
4 light.
You can add a dark die and reroll if you'd like. 1 light, 2 dark, if you want.
Sure, I'll do that. 6 dark.
Okay, so you succeed to scrabble up onto drier land, but tell me what you see or sense that causes you to go deeper into ruin.
I mean, I think the ruin just comes from the fact that I just got struck by lightning. That feels like pretty apparent. But I think before that happens, she sort of scrambles up this little, not quite a cliff, but just like sort of like a hill, a mound, really. Sort of scraping past the dry bushes, and as I imagine some dust sort of falling away. But as she sort of crouches up on the hill, afraid that the water is going to raise up, she looks out and sees the horizon, which is remarkably flat. She could see the rolling clouds coming up over the horizon, and where there was once this sort of reddish earth, it's all sort of becoming overcast, and the clouds are roiling in a way that doesn't feel natural. It feels like something is in them, something is disturbing them, something is swimming in them. And those lightning strikes, they hit down, they smack against the earth, and they're so hot that they start to leave craters. And you can even see from this distance of glittering glass in them. And there's a moment where she's about to look over and yell at the others for them to come up out of the water. But that's when the lightning strikes down. It doesn't strike her directly, but she's caught within the sort of radius of it. And she is blown off her feet. And once the sort of white of the lightning dissipates in that split instant, we just see her smoking body laying there. She's just sort of groaning to herself. We can see the back of her robes are sort of blackened, and we can see like a sort of, it looks like a lightning bolt, but it's like a scar going up her back and up her neck.
Shjon and Montana, you see this. What do you do?
I'll go up to Delilah just to make sure she's not on fire. To make sure, see if there's still alive. I have a vial of a drink that I can give to her to say, please drink this. It'll help.
Yeah, I think I'd run over with Shjon, like, assuming we're able to, and kind of prop her head up on my lap so that Shjon can give Delilah this drink.
Yeah, I think she's too out of it to really fight it.
I think Montana just like strokes her hair, like it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It wasn't that bad. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
And in the meantime, Everett's horse is lame, guess, from, again, trying to work their way through this mud that has turned into its own kind of river flowing. But you all do manage to kind of keep yourselves above the water and watch it rushing past with a speed that would be frightening if you were caught into it. You would be disappeared away, down, and around even before you could react. But the storm does spend itself. You are covered in mud and exhausted, and you do crest a hill, and you see the outskirts of a small town called Resurrection. The road into town passes a cemetery where a young grave digger is pulling bodies off a cart into coffins, waiting at the bottoms of newly dug graves. Do you approach? And if you approach, who has visible guns?
Everett has a pistol on his hip. I'm not hidden. I'm brandishing it, but I think he would call out. Hey, mister, is there a place around here we can dry up and clean up?
I mean, like, kind of holds up his hands. It's like, are you gonna try to rob me?
I look in that sorry estate.
Hey, I know nothing. I just trying to get these bodies out and in. Got that gun there, sir. Just don't want any trouble. You looking for that sidewinder, Bantam, right?
Again.
That sidewinder, the outlaw, Bantam, right?
Is that why you're so busy right now?
Huh. Yeah, sir. He came through not that long ago. And actually, and he kind of just does a wide gesture. These were members of Bantam's gang.
So Bantam got away, but his gang didn't.
Well, I think to one of you, one of the dead is familiar. It is a slim figure, buried with a felt hat festooned with crow feathers. And here's a question for that person who does recognize this individual. Who knew them? What promise did they and Crowfeather make to each other years back when they last crossed paths with each other, hands clasped by a fire, the stars whirling overhead as an entire night drifted by? Who knew this Crowfeather in that way?
Crowfeather was a fellow miner. He and I had traveled to different claims for different places, working silver, copper, other materials out of the ground. He decided he was tired of working for these companies. We were never going to see any profit. We were never going to make anything beyond what we could carry because greed. No one. It was more likely you would get ahead by stealing than by anything else. So he helped himself to some nuggets and said he'd be seeking it. He'd be setting himself up as the owner one day. And he said, and we made a promise that if either of us did strike it, then we'd send for the other to become the crew boss, because he needed somebody you could trust as your eyes inside the mine. Because the owner does, of course, isn't going to walk into the mine to check every little thing.
Did he say a certain force was looking out for him?
The feathers in his hat, he said had obtained them from a local native tribe. And each one had a blessing from the local shaman. Each one was supposed to watch out for him, guide him to fortune. I'm going to guess that he thought that working for Bantam would speed that fortune along.
This young fella, this young gravedigger says, "One just Bantam's people caught bullets. Resurrection lost its sheriff. It's sad, but there was profit in it." And he just kind of pulls out a handful of gold teeth from his pocket and jingles them in his palm. And he just kind of like lets you see the teeth glint in the sunlight.
What happened here? Who was someone come looking for Bantam in his game?
Well, again, I mean, you got like an outlaw like that, shooting up the place, killing off the sheriff. But again, a little bit of profit here. He can come back through whenever he likes, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, he's a bit sheepish about it, but he will also fan some crisp dollar bills. Entirely too much money. And he'll say, "Anyone want to help me put some bodies into the ground? I mean, hey, money's money, right? I'll throw in a ride to town even. How's that sound?"
I've already been digging for years, so this is just going to be compared to rock, soil's nothing.
I think Montana would take him up on that offer too. Every little dollar will help her save up.
Delilah feels better from the elixir that Shjon gave, but not better enough to start digging graves. She'll watch them with some enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think Everett will prop himself up on the fence post and kind of shake his head as he watches them get to work.
For those of you helping this gravedigger, who introduces himself as Belly, he'll say, "Yeah, this is civic duty," as he kind of waves the dollar bills and such at you. But I think for those of you helping, the touch of cold flesh and the unresisting weight of the bodies as they tug free from the cart will remind you of your own limited time on this earth. How do you feel about that, Shjon, Montana?
Oh, these are the lucky ones. Somebody knew they were dead, giving them a place in the ground, maybe even saying some words over them. A lot of people out here, never seen again, their bones bleach in the sun. At this point, this is the best option, is that at some point, somebody will at least make an attempt to take care of your body. This is a reminder that you were here.
Montana feels an urgency. She's got to get her own farm so that she has somewhere to be buried. And she doesn't, I mean, she has time, but not that much time.
Shjon, Montana, take a ruin roll, please. You both keep it together? All right. As you finish the task, Belly will just kind of stand there looking satisfied and says again, "I thank you kindly for doing your civic duty, strangers. I'll give you that ride into town, and we'll see if we can't find you all someplace to sleep."
Thank you.
Delilah sort of starts to bob her head, propping it up. And she just sort of smiles again at her. Her eyes are kind of like heavy and dazed. And before she just kind of slumps back down silently.
You'll have to excuse her. She was stuck by lightning not so long back.
Oh, goodness. I hope she's gonna be all right. I mean, we have some facilities, I guess, in Resurrection, but not that many after, well, as you can see, all these passed.
Well, lead on to this shining metropolis.
Certainly, absolutely. He pulls aside his long jacket to reveal that he's now wearing the sheriff's badge. And he has a bit of a look in his eye as he takes the cart, of course now empty of bodies, and offers you all a ride. Do you go into the cart, or do you just walk alongside?
Delilah will get to the cart.
Yeah,
I
for
assume
the,
maybe like Shjon and Everett maybe help her in, or even Montana.
yeah. I'll get in the cart. It's been a long walk. And I
I
came
think
in the
I'll
last
lead.
town on a cart.
Mm-hmm.
I'll lead my horse the rest of the way into town.
I think Montana will make sure that like Delilah's robes are kind of helping her be a bit more comfortable. And if there's room, she'll kind of squeeze into the corner, but if not, she'll just walk behind.
All right, since it's past the hour, we're going to take a 5-minute break this time, and then when we come back, we'll start Ring 3. Okay? 5 minutes. As you make your way back to town, in the cart, riding along, and Belly's sheriff bellies. Horse is kind of like, drawing it along. You all have the opportunity to think or talk, but each in turn. Shjon, I think even though you no longer see that golden, or I should say the albino locust with the golden legs, I think you feel the residual bite. What are you thinking of as you sit there, nursing or maybe rubbing where you felt it take a chomp out of you? What does it make you think of?
I just think of how in that whole swarm, the one albino one not only found me, but found a vulnerable spot to bite. None of the other locusts bit. None of the other locusts touched, really, other than just to swarm and fly by at random. This almost felt personal, like it singled me out to specifically take a bite.
Does the locust remind you of anyone?
It reminds me of some of the people I'm trying to leave behind, about how they would single out as a person for their bite or their venom, seemingly at random, just because they could. But there was no rhyme or reason to their actions other than because we can. Because we think you deserve this.
So, Montana, do you surreptitiously look at the Bible? Do you look at your name, or again, your family name amongst all those others?
Yeah. Just flipping open that front cover just to double check that it's still there, that I'm reading it right.
What inscription is in it that makes you believe that there's something? There is an inheritance. There is a legacy out there for you.
I think it's along with the family name, it says we were made for greater things than this. So she's thinking about that. And then thinking about how free the locusts were. They didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And what she should do a little bit.
Delilah, I think as you're riding in the cart and maybe regaining a little bit more cognizancy or awareness, I think you realize that there are those buzzards again. They're circling still. They somehow found you after the storm, and they just seem to be circling in that strange spiral pattern above your head, high up, high up. But you're aware that they are focused on you. I think maybe a little concussive effect from having the lightning hit you or hit so near to you. I think your vision blurs for a little bit, and you have visions of beating feathers. Do you feel the buzzards already eating you? Is your mind trying to shield you from some kind of truth? What do you see in this vision? Besides the feathers.
I think everything she sees is blurry. It's more about what she hears.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're so high up, it sounds like they're squawking, right? Like sitting at her shoulders, just squawking in her ears. And through that squawking, there's mocking. You're gonna die out here. You're gonna be everything your daddy said you were. A menace, a harlot, a witch. And then finally, the her vision starts to come back into focus, and she sees Montana beside her. She sees the road in front of her. She sees that the buzzards aren't in the cart with them, but they're several feet above. And with this sort of renewed vigor, she scurries up on all fours and pokes her head out of the end of the cart and just looks up at them and just kind of at the buzzards very almost violently, very enthusiastically. But she just sort of wildly starts to blow raspberries at them and starts to like kick up. It's like if there's like anything that's in the cart that she can throw at them, she's gonna throw it. But otherwise, she's just sort of wildly like trying to taunt them.
Even as this is going on, I think, Everett, you're a little bit more preoccupied, walking along with your horse alongside the cart, thinking about that lawman's badge that's jabbing you a little bit against your chest inside your jacket. Did you wander away from a town that trusted you to save it?
Yeah, I think a long time ago. My father, who later disinherited me, ran a factory, and he got himself in some trouble and was in some legal trouble, I think. And the town was reliant on the employment of that factory, and he wanted to hand the reins over to Everett, and Everett just, the idea of working that hard didn't appeal. So it wasn't that he was the lawman, but yeah, he let some people down, and they lost everything because of it. And I think thinking of that just kind of gets him side-eyeing the folks riding the cart as he trudges along in the dust. And he'll say to Belly, "So it's a dangerous business being sheriff around here, looks like. How are you feeling about that? Maybe you pick up 3 reprobates in your cart and take them straight to the jailhouse. Who knows what kind of trouble they're going to cause you on the way."
No, no, no. You all did, well, 2 of y'all did some civic duty, and perhaps the rest of you were just a mite tired. It's fine, it's fine. We just, consider part of the labor help for things that just needed to get done. I mean, can get a welcome of sorts. I mean, not a fine one at resurrection, but we have things to comfort, things to amuse. So you're stopping off and, well, be on your way, I suppose. Heading over to find Bantam and such. Just avail yourself of whatever hospitality you find congenial. And that'll be the extent of it.
I think if it wasn't obvious, I was trying for a little reduction roll there of
I see.
dropping a hint to Belly that these three might not be as innocent as they seem or as civic-minded as they seem.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, let's see as you make the reduction roll, like whether you're actually found out or they overhear you. Let's do that. So yeah, do a reduction roll.
It's a 2.
Less than your
Which is-
current ruin. Betrayal
Sure
goes
is.
unnoticed, and you decrease your ruin by 1. You will always reduce your ruin by 1 when you do a reduction roll, but of course the result will determine whether you're found out or not. I think at that point he's going to give you a bit of a side eye as he kind of gets your meaning, and he says, I'll take it into consideration. He kind of taps the side of his nose with a dirty finger. Yeah. You something of a lawman yourself?
Me? No, but law-abiding citizen, I can assure you of that.
Of course, of course. And he just kind of like, has this like, sidelong glance and a smirk at the side of his mouth. And the rest of you don't hear that. Don't hear that exchange. Or you're busy in your own, in your own thoughts. But, yeah, those of you in the cart, do you discuss what you want to do about Bantam or anything else having to do with this particular mission?
I think Delilah's a little preoccupied with teasing the buzzards. But if someone initiates something, she may stop.
I think Montana might even comment on that, saying, "Oh, it looks like you're feeling a little better. Do you think you can continue on then, Delilah?"
What?
Oh, I just you're for what you just went through. You're looking much better. Are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling like I'm feeling. That's enough for me. It's going to be enough for you all.
Is what you're feeling? Are you going to be able to? Are you going to be? Are you going to help or hinder us trying to get Bantam?
That's a funny question. You think
Not not on purpose, just not feeling well.
you think I'd be a hindrance in my current state?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you don't wear shoes, so obviously you've got a different, I don't know, baseline than the rest of us.
At this point, she starts to sort of again on hands and knees crawl towards Montana, and she starts to kind of stroke her pretty hair. She looks at her and says, "I got this far, Dana, haven't I? Got such nice
Yeah.
teeth."
Mm-hmm.
What's a pretty thing like you doing in bounty hunting business? It's not like you need new teeth yet.
No, not for that. I'm trying to buy my own farm.
Oh, your own farm. Where's your daddy at? You got a daddy?
Mm-hmm.
What's he up to? Or down to? Is he...
No, he does jobs, begs a little, got kicked off the farm.
Poor thing. bounty hunting's grim business. A lot of the times, people you take in don't want to be took. You think you got it in you to take Montana Steele?
I don't think she can make eye contact right now. And she just says, I think so.
If it's okay with you, she grabs you by the cheeks and sort of slams you against the side of the cart and forces eye contact. Say that again with a bit more conviction.
I think so.
You better know so, girl. It's a hot, hot world out here. You'll burn up.
As Delilah says that, I think the Bible in your pocket starts to feel very warm.
I think Montana's just at a loss for words.
She lets her go. Just sort of gently strokes the hair again, trying to sort of almost trying to pat off where she grabbed her and just put it back into place. She just sort of scuttles back over to the opposite end of the cart and sits up, just leering at Montana, kind of biting her nails as she's doing it.
Montana, how do you feel right now? Between the look from Delilah and the Bible burning in your pocket.
Wanting, inadequate, little girl.
Please make a ruin roll. Okay. Keep it together. All right. Shjon, what are you thinking when you watch this exchange?
It looks like Delilah likes to provoke. She likes to look for weakness in people, pick at it, try to stir the pot. They're gonna look at Delilah and say, "Hey, you had helped us with those bodies. Probably gonna find yourself some replacement teeth. I could have put them in for you."
My teeth don't need replacing.
Well, when we get the gold for bringing in Bantam, I can melt them down, make you a new set.
If you get the gold. You ever done this before?
What, new teeth?
Taken bad men.
I've taken it from bad men. Now it's my turn to give back.
Oh. So you give to Bantam, are you? You gonna give your life?
You make it sound like that's a heavy price. I think you're more afraid of death than anybody else here.
I walk with death, boy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've danced with him. But the problem is, it's not the death, it's the collecting of the bill after.
And she starts to kind of rifle through her sack again, and she pulls out the skull. She sort of sets it on her knees. Daddy, this boy is messing with me. What should I do with him? And she leans her ear in. All right, I'll let it go for now. For now.
Well, Annie, thank you for talking sense.
She puts the skull back in her bag.
Speaking of Bantam, though, he's just lost part of his gang. We don't know how much of it, but it makes him more vulnerable. Might make it a little easier to approach him. But with all the legends about him, do you have any insight on what will finally take him down?
Everett, you can hear that part of the conversation if you want to get in on that.
I mean,
Figure he's a
Delilah,
man like any other.
I mean, Delilah, according to the legend, Bantam took a lightning strike and it brought him back even stronger. Well, we got one of those of ourselves now.
Yes, we do.
You might be the chosen one to take him down.
Guess we'll have to see. Everett's got the gun, though. Maybe he's going to be the one to do it.
Sorry, you don't have shoes or a gun?
I get by.
That's a novel way to go about bounty hunting.
Like I said, got me this far.
I think Everett just gives a look around as if, like, where is it that any of this has gotten us?
I think at the, as you kind of discuss with each other, I think Billy will let slip that there are 2 members of Bantam's gang still in town. But he's cagey about, where they could be found. But I will say, out of character, there are several things that you will be able to do once you are in the town of Resurrection. And I'm just going to post these choices in the chat. And before we end the session, I will ask each of you to decide who is going where. Okay? The fortune seekers, the bounty hunters, have the choice of seeking the warm water and perfume of Queen Jenny's brothel, the faro table and the uneasy companionship of gamblers, the liquid comfort of alcohol and the affable patter of a barkeep. Or you could walk the quiet streets of Resurrection at night, past lantern-lit windows and the occasional sounds of singing and soft conversation. Or settle near a fire pit where a suit-wearing fella is chatting with a couple deep into their cups and nodding off. So, those are your choices for the beginning of next time when we enter into Ring 3. All right? So, that is the end of our session for tonight. Just want to do a round of stars and wishes before we sign off, and then we'll continue on next week. So, stars are things that you enjoyed about today's session, gameplay, roleplay, any of it, and wishes are what you'd like to see for next time to conclude for your character as well as the incursion.
I've been failing to take notes today, so I'm going to have to try and think on the fly. I'm really enjoying Delilah. I'm sensing I'm getting the Dragon Queen from Bad Monkey from her character, if anyone's been watching that show. But I'm very much enjoying her attitude. I would like to, I don't know, figure out. I feel like a really fun thing would be us all like feeling each other out around like why we are doing this. We've done that to some extent, but more would be fun. Everyone had really good devil's bargains, and it was genuinely hard to choose when I faced them a couple of times. I kind of know my way around this adventure, or this incursion, but I don't remember all about it. So, and I don't think knowledge is spoiling it for me, so that's nice. I don't know. My thoughts are a little disorganized at the moment, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah. Good to be back into some Trophy Dark. Star for you, Mads. Beautiful singing at the beginning. Um, Love pulling that out. That was great. I was happy to get back to playing Dark with Rob. Missed us. Um, and I'm glad I got to play with Paul and Cassidy. I've played with Cassidy, but I think you were running it, so I didn't get to like chance to actually play with you. And so star for you, being a trooper, dealing with Delilah's craziness, um, and star to Paul for like pushing back on it. I thought that just that exchange, that last exchange in the cart was really fun, and that's kind of like those moments are like what I really dig about Trophy Dark is like having everything that built up to it and then having those that like third ring to really kind of like metabolize it and really kind of go through it and talk about it, and see like where they're at, and then yeah, I guess my wish is, yeah, I want like a little bit more chance to have moments between like the four of us, and sort of like what Rob mentioned, like I'm curious as to how and why they got together, like what keeps them together, or if they're together at all, if they're just gonna like split apart, as Trophy Darkers want to do. Um, but yeah, I'm just curious to see how, like, because I have this, I haven't read it, like I've thumbed through it, but I haven't like really gone into it, so I don't know like what's coming next. So I'm excited to see where it goes, because I know the author and his typical flavor is very kind of off the wall. So I'm very curious to see where it goes.
Definite stars for everyone for the role play, that all of your characters had displayed defining characteristics, personalities, so that it wasn't just reading off a script. It was very much felt natural from everybody. So it was really good to have the role play there. And then for wishes, to expand more upon what our characters are capable of. We have our various skills and the rituals that we really haven't had a chance to apply yet. I think Everett's the only one who actually used one so far. So this will give us a chance to put our knowledge to the test.
I got some stars. I also starred the intro and the singing. I thought it was very atmospheric and like really drew me in and set the tone. I also have a star for the I do declare being like one of the first things, because that's just to me so Wild West. I love that. I've got a star for Shjon, just for kind of like the questions around him. There's something there. Like there's more than he's letting on for sure. And I love that. And I really liked the promise that he made with Crowfeather. Like I really liked how you narrated that. A star for Everett, for kind of this like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy kind of thing? Like that sounds like the dramatic question. Like, did he just used to be a good guy and now he's not? Like, what was the villain origin story? Is there any good guy left in him? I'm very excited to see that. And stars for Delilah, star Jack, that you described her as scuttling. I think that really encapsulated her. And the kind of implication, like with asking, have you done this before, to everyone else? Like, how many people has Delilah killed or been involved in the killing of, if any? And a star for, after I said you get struck by lightning, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That like that's a terrible devil's bargain. Don't take that, anybody. And you did, and I appreciate that. And I have I have no any knowledge about devil aim for me, so everything so far and everything going forward is just complete surprise and delight. And I'm really excited to see what we end up all getting ruined.
I mean, y'all very close. Jeez, hanging out at 4 and Everett just went down from 5. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so yeah, I will post the questions for where you want to go for Ring 3. And if you want to stay together and like in one place, that's fine. I mean, like, we can make it like like kind of like a round of different places to go as a group or split off, whatever you choose. Um, yeah, so stars again for the characters. I mean, it's lovely to see a mysterious, witchy kind of character that you play with some sensuality, but yet also kind of like a sinister background to it, Jack. I mean, like I always enjoy like, your descriptions of your characters because you understand that like entrance is everything, and then like uh how Delilah came in was ultra important and very well done. Um, Everett is again like, yeah, I'm not sure about the villain arc either, Cassidy, in terms of Everett. I mean, I feel like good guy, villain, trying to be a good guy, but then reformed, but then not. So we'll see, we'll see which one it is. We're not sure yet, I don't think. And I can't wait to find out. And with Montana, or just her earnestness. I mean, it was just her trying to this is what I plan on doing. This is what I want to do, and this is the way to do it. But yet, I mean, like, faced with these strange circumstances and people, um, we'll see if Montana's going to be able to keep it together. And Shjon is just so stalwart, but there's something there, as was mentioned before, and I can't wait to find out how bad that is. What is in Shjon's past? What has Shjon done to try to start over? I can't wait to find out. Um, so yeah, wishes to get to know these characters to better and together or apart, and then to continue onward with the rest of the incursion. Hopefully, y'all survive to the end through Ring 5. And I'm hoping for some really delicious contest rolls at the end, because that's always fun for me to see how you all try to take each other out, So, all right. So, for whatever you're doing this week, happy gaming, and I will see you next week as we conclude Devil Aim for Me. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And then, again, just kind of think over the questions about what you want to do or where you want to go, starting with Ring 3 next time. Okay? Thank you all. Appreciate it. All right. Bye.